Welcome to the show, everybody.
Hey y'all.
So, as you just saw, WWE legend Terry Funk died yesterday. There has been reports of how he passed away. He was 79 years old. If you don't remember, Terry Funk was also known as Texas Charlie at one point in time in his career. You might have seen him a couple of times waving an actual chainsaw around while walking to the ring.
Oh, those
Um,
are days.
Right, and as of we just found out, literally about half 45 minutes before going in the air, it was announced that Bray Wyatt passed away. There's no word on how he passed away. Bray Wyatt is known as for his Fiend character in WWE. He is the son of the $1 Million Man's Repo Man from back in the day. That is his son. His brother is Bo Dallas, also from WWE. A few years ago, Luke Harper, aka Brody Lee, passed away. Well, he's known as Brody Lee, but in WWE, you know what I mean. Anyway, he passed away a few years ago, like 2 years ago, it was like 2021. Um, Bray Wyatt did not take the death very well. He actually just completely disappeared off the face of the earth. He just took some time off of the company for almost a year or so. He came back for a few months, and then he still wasn't dealing well with his friend death, and then he disappeared again, and then we find out that he passes away today.
Wow. Man,
So,
life is short.
huh?
Life is short.
He was 36 years old.
Yikes.
So thoughts and prayers are with the family, and also yesterday.
Okay,
Um, oh yeah, I forgot my damn bottles. Oh, where my bottles at? I ain't got my wine opener for that one. I got all these bottles normally stashed in my room, and I can't find not what. Oh wait, nope, that's empty.
I
Damn,
need to get some of that one wine that you had this weekend. Ooh wee.
oh, the halo effect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what my wine is. That okay? Fine. Tina gonna have to drink to that for me. Um. Also, my thoughts and prayers go out to um the child who died. I believe this was in. I want to say Ohio. The child who died in the bus crash yesterday on the bus was it was the kid's birthday at school. And they were on their way to school, and a van swerved into the lane where the bus was at, and the bus swerved tried to avoid that minivan, and it flipped over on its side, and one of the children were killed in that accident.
Oh, that
So
is so sad.
yeah, so thoughts and prayers go out to those family members also. And Tina having a drink to that for y'all.
I got two different drinks for y'all.
So, to really kick off today's show, I believe I said in the description that we were going to talk about the RNC, Republican National Convention, was here in our city, the city of Milwaukee. It was yesterday,
Yes.
and I didn't know that it was going to be in the city. I was on my way home for work Tuesday, and I was like, it's a lot of like news reporters downtown. I saw satellites and stuff. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I think I talked to Tina on Tuesday.
You did.
Okay, I did. I talked to you on Tuesday, and that's when you had told me that the
Mhm.
RNC was going to be here, which I didn't know. I didn't know at all. Um,
Uh,
I'm like, so okay. When it comes to the RNC, so when they had the Democratic National Convention here virtually or whatever, whenever it was supposed to be here, and they were doing all this planning for it, they had so many streets shut down for that convention that was supposed to be here for the Democratic National Convention,
mhm.
and for me to be able to drive directly up to Fires and Forum when it was holding the convention at was just crazy. Like you could literally drive up to the building and drive right past it.
Is it
So
really crazy? Well, let me not be like that. Everybody has their own political party that they like. And yes, it
true.
should have been probably well secured.
Yeah, because I'm like, so if you are a Milwaukee native, you know that if you're driving down up or down Sixth Street, so on Sixth Street is where like if like the Milwaukee Bucks or the WWE people are here in town, there's a garage entrance right there that they would go in through. That
Hmm.
that wasn't guarded. There was nobody right there. So I was just like, huh. If somebody was just crazy enough to just drive through this garage door, they could have just interrupted the whole, thing that was going on in there. But I'm like, okay,
Now
fine.
Milwaukee's a ghetto. But I will say this, our downtown is turning out to look very nice. I used to didn't like being downtown, and then once the Grand left, I was like, nah. But I feel like it's starting to turn itself around. It's one I want to kind of be down there a little bit more.
The Grand is back.
Well, it's not called the Grand. What is it called?
I think it's still called Grand.
I thought so when I was downtown for my friend's wedding, her wedding was literally like right down the street. Not
Research.
even it had a different sign out there. Right at the
Research.
so the main entrance, right? That dead
Uh
end street.
huh.
It was something else that was up there. It was a
I mean
neon
now,
sign.
like now it's mostly restaurants and they got like a little arcade or something there now. But
Okay. Yeah, it was called something else though. And I was like, oh, okay. Mhm. I
oh,
wonder
it's
do it
called it's
still
called the Avenue now. They just took Grand out and just call it the
yeah.
Avenue.
I wonder if it's still split in two. Remember when the Grand you could walk in, you had the main building, and then it was another like you can go over across, and there was another section of the
Yeah,
Grand.
like a footbridge. It still connect. I think it's. I don't know if you can still walk across it, but the footbridge and everything is still there where it's connected to the other building.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I went inside of there and it's remodeled quite nice. So like the part where Walgreens and stuff is at, you can
Yeah,
tell like they're still trying to figure out what to do with that space because the only thing that's down there in that part is Walgreens.
yeah,
But other than that, you can tell they're trying to figure out something to do with the rest of the space or whatever. But it's turning out to be quite nice.
yeah. My friend's wedding was across the street at the Bradley Symphony Theater.
Hmm.
It's right there.
So like I said, like the only thing they need to fix the roads down there. There are the Wisconsin Convention Center. They doing a huge remodel on that.
Yeah,
So
I
when you
saw
get to a
that.
portion of Sixth Street, it is closed. You can't go up north on Sixth Street on a certain portion of it.
Isn't that
Um,
where the car show used to be at?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. So they remodeling that right now. So
Mhm.
it's a lot of stuff going on down there. And to those of you who don't know, the Milwaukee Bucks actual first arena is still downtown. They just changed the name of it for it's not called the Mecca anymore. It's now called the UW Panther Arena.
Yep.
So just to give y'all a heads up. So if you ever want to visit the place where the Milwaukee Bucks won their first ever championship back in 1971, visit the UW Panther Arena.
That's where my son had his graduation at.
That bougie ass school.
His high school graduation was there.
My school was cheap. We had the Cooley Auditorium, MATC.
Fun fact about me, I was actually in an orchestra that performed when it was called the Mecca. I was actually there performing with an orchestra when I was playing the violin.
Look at you, you bougie heifer.
Yes, indeed. And then I went back down there as I don't know if you old enough to remember when MPS had like that citywide choir.
I wasn't old enough.
So it was like a holiday thing. It was a citywide choir, and we performed down there. I want to say around the holidays, and we had to wear white tops and black bottoms. And if I can find the pictures, I'll show you one day.
Mm-mm.
Sorry, we got sidetracked, but yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Speaking of downtown and the RNC, I do have a video to play before we discuss what happened during the RNC. This kind of explains what happened.
okay,
So, I normally don't play videos like this because it came directly from a newscast. I normally don't play that stuff because they try to, ban us or have our videos blocked or whatever. But I feel like this is a piece of video that people need to see. So I'm going to play it for you guys.
Okay.
Good morning, bad news. The Republican debate was a mess. Here's what you missed.
Drill, frack, burn coal. Anthony, you are fired.
And I don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar hates.
The ocean hit 101 degrees off the coast of Florida.
The climate change agenda is a hoax.
If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice?
I would get rid of the Department of Education.
I'll also shut down the Federal Department of Education.
And if God made you a man, you play sports.
Whoever put together that video was a genius. So kudos to them. It was very entertaining. It seems like it caught all of the finer moments of the convention. It's so much to kind of like pull apart here. Like, okay, so the African American guy that was there.
He's an idiot.
I listen to a podcast in the morning, a radio show in the morning while I'm driving to work, and he was recently on there earlier this week, and he did mention he was going to be here in our city for the convention. And they were basically, so the radio, so the podcast or the radio show, whatever it's called now, is primarily Black, situated for Black people. So they invited him on there. And they were asking him a bunch of questions pertaining to, like, why does he identify as Republican? Does he agree with everything that they're saying? And he made some pretty interesting points. He doesn't agree with a lot of things that are being said or done. But he does like the economic stuff. He doesn't agree with, which I thought that was interesting. And then it was something else that kind of like rang my bell. And I know most of us are kind of teetering on what party to support, you know. Mm-hmm. I'm going to look more into what he stands for, because it seems like he's strict on things that I feel like should be strict. And he agreed with certain things that I agree with, but I don't really understand what his agenda is. So I'm gonna do some research on him, and then when we have our next podcast next week, I would like to kind of get some touch points on his campaign, because he's the only Black Republican up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that we can shed some light on what he's about. But how the fuck they gonna say global warming is a hoax, number one? And the lady just said off the coast of Florida, the fucking ocean was 101 degrees. What? Like, how do a body of water that big heat up that much? Like, usually in the summertime, so it takes a very long time. I don't know. So I had a pool, right? It takes a very long time for a body of water to heat up to be that hot. And my pool never made it to be that hot. I think the top temperature that it got up here was like mid 70s, right? So, and then because it takes the majority of the summer to heat up, it kind of stayed cool. So on hot days like this, if you were closer to the lake, it was cooler closer to the lake than inland, right? Because it hasn't heated up all the way. But in the wintertime, it's usually a little bit warmer, right? And all the moisture and stuff like that towards the lake or a body of water. So that's a little concerning to me. The fact that we've had it's Wisconsin, like what? We had heat advisories. And I mean, it's not like we haven't had them before, but my dad said 101 degrees yesterday. If I wanted to live in Texas, I would move to Texas.
Yeah, so our actual temperature, it was actual highest temperature we got for today was 101 degrees. Like she said, it said it on my dashboard too. And it has not been that hot in Wisconsin since 1943.
And that's what I'm saying. Today was a little cooler, but still hot, and then it's supposed to cool down, but that's concerning, right? We really haven't had traditional winters up here. Our winters have been starting a lot later
So
than they usually have. Like,
now, now that you mention this, it's this guy on TikTok. He put a prediction in saying this is going to be a grand, what they call it, the winter where we're gonna get one of those granddaddy snowstorms. So if you don't know what a granddaddy snowstorm is, it's one of those snowstorms where you get about 15 to 16 inches of snow. It's gonna be one of those snowstorms, just like he predicted. Like now, it's like all these severe thunderstorms and floodings and stuff that's happening. So what he had predicted, so he was like the jet stream, which for us it's normally for where we stay at. It's normally a little above us, and never it don't really too much drop below us or like that.
yeah.
So it really dropped so point to the jet stream was like in the middle of the country. So what that did was that jet stream it caused this circle around like from Wisconsin all the way down to Texas. It caused this circle, and what it did was because it was so hot and it's kind of dryish and it caused this circle, so it was like it kept like the wet weather out and it kept the dry warm weather in. So when this circle was going around, it just kept building and building and building. So as the circle's going around, it's creating these dangerous thunderstorms that we saw today. So once that heat temperature started going down, and that jet stream started to move up, and that circle broke, it was like all hell broke loose with them storms. But them storms was fighting to get out that circle. So you got to think these thunderstorms probably travel in a circle around this country many times, and then they find and building and building and building up. And then today it released like it was like some places where it was like airports and stuff was flooded. Cities were like literally flooded. People left their cars on the highway. That's how much downpour rain that some of these cities gotten behind this heat wave that happened because of that circle, and the storms were kept building and building as they kept going around in a circle.
So I agree with you on that. I feel like our winter will kind of like mimic what we've been seeing with our rainfall, which we go a long period of time in between rainfall, but when we have rainfall, it's very heavy. Like just today, it literally was raining so hard for 15 minutes. That's it. But it was raining so hard, I said that it looked like it was white outside because the rain was bouncing off so hard off of the surfaces, right? So I feel like that's kind of what we'll have. I mean, 15, 16 inches. I feel like our city can handle that. That just means a couple of days of clearing the snow. So it might shut our city down for a couple of days, and that's that, as far as that's concerned. But I feel like we're very suited for that. But with that jet stream, like you said, dropping down so low, it's like how many other cities that aren't used to the accumulation of snow as we are, like, are they going to get hit with a lot more snow than what they're used to? So I kind of feel like that's
so they're going to get they're not going to get as much snow as us, like them southern states where it kind of do snow when they do get it, but they're going to get more than what they normally get.
Right.
So like for us, we haven't had like a snowstorm. I think like it was like 2011 or 12 was the last time we had a snowstorm. We had like a granddaddy snowstorm. So it's been about 10 years since we had like a granddaddy snowstorm.
I feel like the worst snowstorm that we've had in the last couple of years is when I was on maternity leave, and that was 2020. So I was in the house because I had my son around Thanksgiving, and I was just out until February. But I do remember a very heavy snowstorm during that time, and I was just looking out the window like, damn, I'm happy I don't have to go outside. I remember that. I want to say we probably got about a good 8 or 9 inches in one sitting.
That's what I'm like. I'm talking about where. So like it was like 2011 or 12. We got like it was like 13, 14 inches of snow in one. Yeah. So it's been about 10. It's been a little over 10 years since we had one of those, and that's what they're predicting of what's coming this winter for us. If not, if we don't get to 12 inches or 13, it's gonna be more than that.
And I mean, like I feel like that's so. What that affects is like so our city is prepared to shut down for things like that. The only thing is like, our population of homeless people. And then I think about maybe power outages, depending on if it's like just primarily snow or if it's like sleet, damages like that, or
Mm-hmm.
freezing rain and it hangs off the power lines and cause power outages. So that creates the problems. But as far as like regular ass snow, if it's just going to be regular ass snow, we get a lot of inches and it doesn't cause those other types of problems, and we'll be fine. Our biggest enemy is freezing temperatures as far as like sub-zero temperatures. And I feel like this past winter we saw a few of those where it was -20 wind chill. So I feel like that's something that we're that's gonna become more of our norm.
I'm so
So
happy. I'm off the majority of the month of January when those kind of days happen.
mhm. So I feel like that's what's going to be the biggest issue. We're going to see more extreme temperatures because we're seeing extreme temperatures now. Yeah, precipitation, when we get it now, is like all in a hurry. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to create, but I don't feel like that's going to be our biggest issue. Our biggest issue is going to be those very, very extreme temperatures dip like that. Like we can be in the 30s and then the next day is going to be -20 outside. Like now,
Right.
like where the fuck did this 100-degree weather come from?
Mm-hmm.
So that was one
It's so
topic they touched upon, right?
yeah. So it's like you said, and it has to do with what you said. So this guy, he also went on there and he was like, so what is going to cause us to have that granddaddy winter storm? So what he was saying is I think he was like both oceans are far as like temperature wise, like we only have those sort of snowstorms or those kind of winters when like the oceans are hot
Yeah.
and the oceans like heat up. So then when winter starts coming around, it's like all that, the I guess the heat that the ocean is putting out and whatever is all gonna move inland and it's gonna mix up with the atmosphere. It's a lot of science he put with that
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
can't explain.
So yeah, so you got to think about low and high pressure systems, right? When they collide, they create precipitation.
Yeah.
So that's basically what's going to happen. If you're going to have those lows and those highs, like you said, because the oceans are so hot, our
Hmm.
inland is going to drop really quick, and that's where it's going to cause those very, very, very scary types of storms. I mean, I don't know if any other parts of the country have experienced um, thunder snow, but we've had that up here before, where it's thundering like a fucking
Hey, Maria.
rainstorm. When it's thundering like a rainstorm, but it's snowing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, speaking of what else did they talk about? Oh, before we get too far off topic, you know how we get.
The
They
Department
talked
of
about
Education.
he talked about eliminating the was it the Federal Department of Education, which means they will take control of a lot of people's student loans, so they could be like so all these programs that Biden has now put in place where he has created low cost repayment plans for a lot of Americans who owe money. So like right now, if you went and you signed up for the IDR repayment plan, depending on your yearly income, your amount of payments could be $0 a month for the next year.
Yeah.
And then after that, so then with that, every year you reapply for it, and you might better get another year where you don't pay any money. You might get one year you pay $10 or $20. You might get another year you might pay $50 a month. Um,
And it counts towards people who qualify for the public loan forgiveness program. If
mhm.
you are on the IDR, I was reading the website the other day. It's a few other repayment plans that qualify for this. That the time that you're on that repayment plan, whatever payments that you're making towards it that you're required to make. Like say, I was only one time and I was only required to make $5 a month.
Yeah.
So, they want you to do 120 because 120 payments. They don't have to be
Mhm.
consecutive anymore. Just 120 payments. And that $5 that I was making a month because I was on the IDI counts towards those 120 payments. So, I mean, something else that I like that they're doing is they're automatically starting to deduct. You know, if you apply for the public service loan forgiveness program, they'll automatically deduct. You ain't got to do all of that like they made you do back in the day. So say, or even lump sum. So say like people, you know how they take your taxes for your student loans, right? So whatever that time period of the money that they're taking from you, say they take $3,000 and they're saying that's for the last 2 years of payments, that counts. So then they break up that $3,000 into 24 consecutive payments and apply it to the public. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I feel like that's great.
Yeah, so I was on it before. I don't know how many payments I made on it before, you know, COVID hit or whatever. I know I was on it before, and then like so I applied for the IDR program, and I don't have to make any payments, but the government basically is making the payments for me every month, and those still count as payments, like part of that 120 payments that she was talking about. Yeah. So then they had sent me a thing saying, well, by 2031, my debt will be cleared.
Yeah, but if you so you working where you are, you're working with a nonprofit. So I would just apply for the public service loan forgiveness because you might hit that mark already and don't even know.
I might have to check because I think the public service loan thing. I don't know because it said I remember somebody saying that you have to be like working for the not for profit for like 10 years or something like that.
So no, under Biden they kind of waiving that rule. Like if you've hit your 120 payments already, and it's been less than 10 years, then they get rid of it. They get rid of the rest of your debt.
I'm gonna have to go figure out where that is and go apply for it and see what's going on.
Just apply for it and they tell you.
Okay, I mean, I'm going to have to find a website for it.
Studentaid.gov, everybody.
Yay, studentaid.gov.
Yeah, and they have every loan servicer that you ever had, all of your loans, all of your grants, all of that is in that one spot. And then if you like, I don't remember who I had this loan through, and you know, like what was the name of that one?
Ours is Great Lakes.
You know, they went under and they were bought out by like Navient or something like that, and then that loan, you know how they sell loans, so they tell you.
Mine went to Nailnet or something like that.
Mine is actually owned by the government, so I don't have like those third-party loan services. So mine's actually through them.
I would do Great Lakes, and then Great Lakes, I guess, like you said, went under, and then Nailnet somehow. The government assigned Nailnet to it because I was paying it directly when I was on a repayment plan. I was paying it back to the government or whatever, and then Nailnet got involved, and I think I had to start sending my payments to Atlanta, somewhere in Atlanta.
Also, certain type of loans don't qualify for the public service loan forgiveness program, but they'll tell you if you go on the website. If you want that loan to qualify for public loan forgiveness, you have to consolidate them and they become one complete loan. And then you only have to worry about one payment and then less interest because there's only one loan for one, you know, not all these different interest rates. And then on top of that, they tell you, hey, you know, you got this particular loan qualifies you for this type of repayment program. So don't consolidate that one. So it's very helpful.
Yeah, because I think mine was that technically two loans. They were two federal loans for like $3,000 and one was like $4,000. But I'm just happy that that's just one thing that I don't have to worry about right now.
You lucky. That ain't nothing in debt.
I know most of my debt is credit cards.
Okay.
So what else did they talk about at the Republican? I don't know. They were talking about there was talks about the economy. It was one Republican that did stand out to me. I don't know her name, but she was the only female Republican on the thing, and she was saying that she don't agree with how the Republicans keep raising the debt ceiling and the amount of spending that the Republicans do. She said one thing that the Democrats did have right. Yes, Democrats were willing to spend money, but Republicans was willing to spend more money than the Democrats. So I think like Democrats was like trying to with their total was the I don't know what's it called, not a filibuster. I don't know what it's called, but it was like their budget or whatever. So I think like Democrats was like they was like okay, they was going to go say we're going to spend $2 billion. That's it. And then I think she said Republicans like over they were trying to spend $5 or $6 billion. She was saying that the Republicans has added more to the national our debt than the Democrats have. And she said she's willing to work with the Democrats in lowering our the amount of debt that we have. Because like we said, when Obama got into office, we had a lot of debt when Obama got in office. And in that 8 years, yes, we spent money, but yeah, we didn't owe as much money by the time he left office. And then when Trump came into office, he down there put so many tax stuff in place where basically the rich isn't paying taxes, their fair share in taxes, which is down there causing our country to go bankrupt because our country now doesn't have that money coming in that we once had coming in to pay our bills that we owe to other countries.
So explain it. Say hi, Corey.
Oh, hey, little one. How's it going?
That is not little one. That's a 30-year-old.
Oh, you said, wait, which name you say?
I said Corey.
Oh, 30-year-old. Okay, everybody, that's the 30-year-old. What up, 30-year-old? What going on? Hell, everybody looked at.
I know they look like twins, but damn.
I already said when you get to my age, everybody looked the damn same. Hell.
No, they favor each other greatly, and they almost 4 years apart. But so explain to everybody why do we even care about the debt ceiling?
Okay, so right now, so America money, our dollar is like is worth more than any other country in the world. So with that being said, so like we get a lot of our products from overseas, and so our government buy these products for us. And not only that, but when it comes to keeping our what they call it, our people that's on our side, what they call them people?
Allies.
Our allies. So when it comes to keeping our allies and stuff like that on our side, when we send money to other countries and stuff, like a lot of that stuff we pay for is almost like some of it's for our protection, but at the same time it's for our goods. So like America, we pump oil, we pump a lot of oil. But America, the oil that we pump, we store it. A lot of our oil that we use for gasoline, we get from other countries. I mean, we're buying oils from other countries. So say like America say, hey, Iran, I want to buy, 400. I want to buy 4 million barrels of oil.
Mm-hmm.
America now owes Iran however much for 400 or 4 million barrels of oil cost. So let's say, that's like another let's say that's $10 million for 4 million barrels of oil. I don't know how much it costs. Just so that's $10 million. And then America might have bought that oil on an IOU. So we're going to send you partial payments until we pay off what we owe you for your oil. And that's what kind of why the debt ceiling is so important. So like they kept raising the debt ceiling. So they was like, oh, well, we ain't not going to have enough money to pay our bills. That's what that mean by we don't have America doesn't have enough money to pay our bills. So a lot of stuff, because for some reason, a lot of presidencies before Obama decided to ship a lot of things overseas. So a lot of stuff that we rely on is not here. So it has to come from overseas. So we have to pay for all them services. We have to pay for all them goods. And then on top of that, we pay our tax dollar. That's what pay for, the Social Security. That's what pays for, for people to get SSI checks, food stamps, rent assistance, any public service that we get, that all comes from the federal government. So if we don't lower our debt and don't have basically a profit coming in from taxes, or like a revenue coming in for taxes, there's nothing to pay for any of that stuff. So when our
So
money runs out, that means we won't have no garbage men. We won't have nobody to make sure that we have clean water. We won't make sure that like the government has to pay for electricity. Also, we won't have money for electricity. We won't have nothing. We wouldn't have money to make our country operate the way it needs to operate, which is how Russia's economy kind of crippled because when America put all them sanctions on Russia and everybody in Russia started going to the banks and stuff and started taking all their money out. So that's money that the government actually don't have. They're like, hey, y'all put your money in here. We spent y'all money, but we know y'all supposed to have this amount of money in the bank. So this is more like IOUs. So now when everybody started withdrawing their money out the banks and like, oh, this is money that we don't have, the country don't have to cover, it's gonna cause the economy to collapse. I mean, no jobs, there's no money to like these hospitals wouldn't be able to operate because a lot of the hospital money come from government programs when it comes to like Medicaid and Medicare and all that other kind of stuff. Hospitals will go bankrupt. It's a lot of stuff due to that debt ceiling that we don't pay our bills. It's a lot of stuff that could trickle down to the normal American and affect everybody.
okay, so two things that you just said. I got a couple of questions. Okay.
Hmm.
So when you say the American dollar is worth more than any other money in the world, when
Hmm.
we are making those negotiations with people, like you said, oil, okay.
Hmm.
So does it mean that since our dollar is worth more, we get their product cheaper? You get what I'm saying? So like,
So.
so say because so pesos, right? So
Mhm.
like a dollar for a US dollar versus a Mexican peso. It's like
It's
I
like
don't know if
$100.
anybody ever it's yeah, so like I bought something in Mexico when I was there and it was like $80 and it was like 60,000 pesos.
Yeah. So like
You
when I
know what
bought
I'm
my
saying?
tequila there, it came out to like 280 something pesos, but
Yeah.
in American
Yeah.
dollar it was only like $60.
Mm-hmm.
60 or
Mm-hmm.
$70 or something like that. Maybe a
Mm-hmm.
hundred if I'm not mistaken. But it was relatively
So
cheap.
right. So it's so our money so we can go. That makes sense. That's why we go to other foreign countries to get stuff. We can get
But
stuff cheaper.
we can actually use our money though in foreign countries.
Hmm.
So like our money is very so like anywhere so like there's like a World Bank that the US uses, that the US and Europe and all these other places as part of our like union type thing uses. So
The
and then
nation,
there's
yeah,
another,
the United Nations.
yeah. So then there's another banking system that like other countries that are not part of us, like some countries in like the Middle East and like South Korea and I believe some other countries, they are not part of our banking systems. And then they're so like I think what they were saying was so with the banking system that America is part of, America basically having the most money, having the most value, whatever. So our banking system it has about in total with even with the monies combined from other countries is like I believe between 25 to 35 trillion dollars
Okay.
altogether. And so these other countries are trying to put their own banking systems together, and even if they all do put their money together, theirs is only like a couple of $100 million,
Okay.
or maybe a billion at the most. But I wouldn't give it a billion. I would say like a couple of $100 million.
Okay. So next question, you touched upon the whole banking system, and I don't know if anybody really pays attention to banking, but
Hmm.
when you start to have more assets, you pay attention to what like as far as what your fail safes are. So
Hmm.
I know a lot of banks, if you go into them, they have these placards that say FDIC insured, right?
Hmm.
So that means it's insured by the federal government. But in the
Hmm.
fine print, it tell you how much is insured. So my question to you is if the banks were to go under, like you said, it's an IOU with the banks, right?
Hmm.
So so it sounds like that if the economy starts to crash, the banks start to go along with it, but your money is only guaranteed to a certain amount in those banks. So it's like it's the federal government going to use the money. Like, say it's only federally insured to 250,000, right? Whatever's
Mm-hmm.
in your account. So if the banks go under, you're only going to get, say you got $1 million in there, you're only going to get 250,000 of your money back. So where does that other 700 and some, what is it, 750, I was right, $750,000 going to go? Does it go to the government because that bank went under? Because they can't give you your money back, they don't have it.
Yeah, so yeah, it goes to the government, but it might not even go to the government because, like I said, that could have been money that was spent already. So like the bank could have spent
Right,
that
but
money or something like that. So like
what though?
so say like that money could have been spent on operation costs or whatever that bank spend money on. So like loans but the banks are giving out. So like the money that you have in the bank. So say like somebody goes and apply for $150,000 loan.
Yeah.
And the bank could be like, well, we could take money from here, 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 here. So we don't took money from 200 customers to be able to give you this loan.
We can
And
secure your loan.
right. So that
Right.
person so basically you will still have that money. So say like you had $250,000 in the bank,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody goes to the bank and they want to ask for $1 million loan. Well, they
Yep.
say, well, we know that this customer has 250,000 in the bank, so we're just going to take the money that they have in the bank and put it towards this loan. But you're still going to have access to your 250,000. So it's
Yep.
almost like a credit. So it's almost like the bank is gonna when that company makes their payment, it's gonna get put back towards what they took from you in that type of situation. So when a bank goes under, and like I said, people go like they hear about the economy crashing, they pulling out all this money, and everybody's pulling out all this money. So say like 3 million people go pull their money out of one bank, and say like that one bank don't necessarily have that money to recover, to pay out what these people are withdrawing. It would cause that bank to go under. Now the government can come in and say, hey, we're gonna give you the funds to cover this, but you're gonna have to pay us back.
Mm-hmm.
Type stuff. But then if the government doesn't have the money to pay you back, to say, hey, we gonna cover whatever it is that you lost or whatever, you're just gonna be asked out of your money basically. And that's when, no matter where you put your bank at, no matter what type of banking you use, whether it's a prepaid bank account, whatever, no matter what you use, if that bank don't have the money to cover what you're taking out, you just lose that money.
Welcome to Financial Literacy 101, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, pretty much. Because like everything
I
is
just
based
wanted to
on
put that
credit.
out there. I just wanted to
Yeah,
put
I
that
mean
out there. That's why old black people used to keep their cash money in their mattresses and shit.
yeah. And for situations like that. Yeah, so like my retirement account at my job. So I have a 403b plan, and mine is also invested in the market.
Mm-hmm.
But say like a business can be like, hey, I'm trying to start this business. I need X amount of dollars to get this started.
Yep.
So now my retirement company can make the decision on my behalf to
Yep.
basically loan this business money from my retirement account.
Yep.
And the goal is for that business to pay my retirement account back with
Return with
interest.
interest. Yep.
So if that company is so that company somehow go under and they can't make them payments, I lose out on money.
Yep.
So that's the same way how banking work. If for y'all who don't, for who don't understand, that's the same way how the real banking system works. And even like I said, you can have your prepaid cards, your NextPay, your Chimes, whatever it is that's out there. You can have that. Like people can go to them and be like, hey, can you borrow or can you can sponsor my company or whatever it is, and they can like, okay, well, we got customers who got quite a few coins, so we gonna take some coins from this one, borrow some coins from this one, borrow some coins from this one. Here you go. So like all our money is basically a gamble.
It's a borrow, all of it.
Yeah.
All of our money is borrowed.
So yeah, like when a natural disaster happened here, say like a hurricane hit Florida, oh, it's gonna cost $1 billion to rebuild and fix whatever going on there. You think America has to go take $1 billion of their own dollars to go fix that? No, they're gonna borrow money from other countries to pay for these things to get fixed. Yes, America does have billions of dollars in their account. Yes, but are they going to just spend that their whole entire? No, they're going to borrow it from other countries, for they're not coming out as much money to fix that, and we're going to, and it's up to us to pay it back. And like I said, when Trump passed all them tax laws where these big companies were not paying their fair share in loans, we wasn't able to pay our bills. And one of the major world banking credit systems actually sent a letter to the government saying, hey, if you don't stop doing all this spending, we're going to lower your credit score down, which is making now they and there's three of them in their report. One of them had did like back in early Trump term or something like that. His first in early Trump, they did it. And then they sent another letter under Biden's administration saying, hey, we're going to do this again. This is right before that last debt ceiling happened, before we had to raise the debt ceiling again in order to pay our bills. And they sent another letter saying, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to drop your credit score if you don't stop all this spending. And they did. So now it's going to make it even more harder for us as our country to borrow money from other countries to pay for stuff, like for our infrastructure, our electrical grid, and all the other kind of stuff, the upkeep of electrical grid, the train track system. Like a lot of people don't know, like the Amtrak that we use in our country, most of those tracks are not owned by Amtrak. Most of those are owned by Canada. So like if you ever traveling from, let's say you're traveling from New York or Boston and you want to go to Seattle, Washington, there are certain points of the track where if you are on that passenger track and there's like one of those other trains that's owned by Canada and they're moving goods and stuff, there's a certain track that those things that the passenger cars have to turn onto and sit there and wait for the cargo train to go past, because they own the railroad tracks and Canada maintains the railroad tracks here. So them doing that made it less money that the government has to spend on maintaining certain things. So like the whole pipeline thing, they're building that. They're trying to it was a cheaper way to get oil from Canada to down in Texas, where they make our oil, our gasoline at here. It was supposed to be a cheaper way to do that. So and say like certain parts of it's going to be paid for by America. Some of the maintenance is going to be paid for by Canada. It just is, like I said, everything is just us borrowing money from people, and we borrow too much damn money. To be honest.
I know we 51 minutes into the show. We might have to go a little bit over, but I got one more hard question for you. If we're in debt, why don't we just print our own money? Because we print our own money now, why can't we just print more?
Because if we have too much money out there floating around in the economy, it's actually bad for the economy to have too much money floating around, because there's too much money floating around. It's like people are not going to buy things. So like it's like people don't went and they don't bought the things that they wanted. So it's like they sitting at home, they're chilling. If it's too much money floating around in the economy, which could be really bad. So you want people to, in order for our economy, the way how our economy is set up, you want people to take out loans and to do all these other kind of things, and for people to pay it back with interest. So that way a profit can be made. If there's too much money floating around in the economy, there's no profit being made. There's no profit going back in.
Martel rolling, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead. Okay. I'll drink to that. I'm gonna drink to that.
I can't 5 miles of wine. God damn it. Because I ain't got my wine open in
you have to be financially literate. You have to be, especially in this day and age. Back in the day, nah. Now, absolutely, because this is how our economy works now.
That's why I tell people like they're so scared of taking out loans. Like some people, I don't want no car loan, or I don't want no credit cards. I don't want this. I don't want that. Like, to be honest, that's how our economy works. Like, you're going to need, like, if you were going to want nice things, you got to have good credit. And how do you get good credit? You got to have credit card. You got to show that that you're good at managing debt in order to be honest, to live comfortable.
Why? Because our own country manages that.
And then like for them people to be like, so they look at like all these celebrities like, oh, they're like, do you really think Beyonce paid $40 million up front for a house? No, she went and got a loan. Her and Jay-Z went and got a loan and a mortgage like a normal person. Because if say like Beyonce only made $50 million that year, and yes, she still got to pay for her assistants. She got to pay makeup artists, all these other people that she has to pay that's on her payroll. So can you imagine if she made $50 million and on top of having to spend another $10 or $15 million paying people? That means she wouldn't have made a profit. So of course she's gonna go out and go get a loan also to pay for these properties. She's gonna go get it. She's not gonna drive $400,000 on a car. Yes, the car costs $400,000, but yes, she went and got a car note too. Because I'm not about to pay $400,000 out of pocket when I can keep that money in bank and just pay it over time. And at the same time, she's establishing
They don't have
credit.
car notes. They lease.
For
Every
that
2
too.
years, they lease. Only certain cars they'll buy, and they might not even buy like a Maybach.
They don't even
Like,
really drive them like that either. So it's not
no,
like
they don't.
because they get driven around. So
You can hire a service to come pick you up in a Maybach and take you wherever you want to go. And you own
right.
shit.
Right. So like don't let what you see on TV fool you with these celebrities and all these other kind of stuff, like make it seem like they out here dropping straight cash on these cars and houses and stuff, because they're not.
And what I've been seeing a lot lately is people who create LLCs through the IRS, and they're starting to buy houses and cars through their LLC. So it's like they don't technically own it, but they own the business. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't affect their credit score.
Right. But if that business go under, just know all the assets under that business have to get sold off.
Yep, and they don't list those assets because they don't own nothing other than what's under the act. So, like, okay, I'll give you an example. So, like, a lot of people are going to get Benzes, right, under their LLC, but they already have other cars, right? So, like me, I have my car. If I create an LLC, like a group home or something, right? I can go buy, say, I want to get a Mercedes van or whatever, a truck or something, because I can transport my patients from the group home to their appointments and back, right? I can do that, right? And on my off time, that's my car.
Yeah.
Because I have access to it. You know, as long as you keep your business afloat, like you said, then you're straight. But then if it does go under, it's attached to that LLC and not your credit.
You gonna lose your house. You
will lose your house. So people need to be careful
everything
about what it is they put, like you said, under their LLC. I'm never gonna put. So I will put like if I get a 4-family house and I'm gonna do a group home or something like that, I'll put that under my LLC. Period. But my actual home that I reside in, no.
Right. You don't know. You do not want to do that. I've watched movies where that has actually happened, where people have bought properties through a company and had lost their homes because that business went under. And like I said, when a business child files for bankrupt, they have to sell off all their assets and pay off some of their debt or the debt that they have. So they have to sell those assets. So if your LLC go under and you say you file for bankrupt under the LLC, you have to sell your house. Yeah. You have to sell your house. You have to sell your car. Now, if you were, say, like a personal, like it was like under your name and everything, you wouldn't go file bankruptcy. You are allowed to keep. Yeah, you can. There are people who file bankruptcy and is able to keep their homes, and then some of them are able to keep their cars and stuff like that.
Yep. Okay, so we're 57 minutes in, and we talked about that stuff. Let's go on into the lady that was drunk at school.
Oh, so to be honest, I'm gonna say this right now. These kids is bad as hell.
Bad as hell.
I say fuck these kids. I will say fuck these kids every time I see a kid. If I have to say 1,000,002 times, 3,000,899 million times in one day, say fuck them kids. I will. I will say it. Fuck these kids because you know what? They are terrible. I don't blame the teacher. I will be drunk every damn day going in there dealing with them kids. Well, depending on the grade. Well, I don't know because this was back in 2000. I want to say eight. I want to say 7 or 8. And I was doing a tour of UWM. This was when I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go to school to be a teacher, and I found out I hated kids. But uh, long money not used well. But it was these like they brought these like little elementary school kids on a trip to know the tour the campus or whatever, and um so I'm walking campus. I'm walking around the campus too, whatever. And there's this group of kids, and I swear these kids could have been no more than like 6, 7 years old. And I'm hearing them say, "Fuck you, bitch! I'll beat your motherfucking ass!" Like, aren't you like kindergarten, first, second grade? Like, why are you talking like this? So yes, I will drink every day. Type of little kids. Imagine high school kids who think they know everything, who think they are adults and know the world and all these other kind of things. Like, you don't. And it's crazy because like I had saw a post, I was watching a video online somewhere, and I really thought about it, and I'm like, dang, they're right. So I'm like, I'm part of that last generation that kind of grew up without computers. So like, I don't think I really had a computer in the classroom until like 2001, 2002, or something like that. And even then, we didn't really use them because at that time wasn't really much you could do on a computer besides typing a paper.
Word processor type shit.
Yeah. So other than that, is like we really didn't have a use for computers until I got to like what high school, which I started high school in 2006 or 2007, I believe I started high school.
Ooh,
So
you young.
yeah, oh yeah. So like, and that's when we really started getting into computers was around high school. Now, mind you, touch screens, phones and stuff wasn't the same. We didn't have touch screen phones. We didn't have, all this other kind of stuff. So before teachers have to go into a classroom and deal with kids playing loud music, cussing, smelling like weed, saying "fuck you, bitch," and talking about dicks and pussies, and even threatening teachers, beating them up. I said teachers are overworked and underpaid and have to deal with rude ass young adults for so many hours a day and for little pay. Like, I do not blame teachers being drunk on the job because it's a lot that they have to deal with. And then on top of that, it's the fear of going to work every day and not knowing if one of those students is going to show up with a gun.
So that's my biggest fear. I would absolutely love to teach, but I feel like, so I have a friend that she teaches at a high school that's inner city. Plus, back in the day, they had a section for females that were pregnant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that program is no longer alive. It was called Lady Pits. It was what it was called. I don't know where that came from. But I hear her horror stories over and over and over and over again. And her only concern is, and she has an absolute passion for this, her only concern is this child doesn't know how to read. This child isn't going to go forward to the next grade because they can't add, things like that. So that's what she focused on. Like the whole attitude, X, Y, and Z that comes along with being a teacher, it doesn't bother her. But she was in the military also.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that gave her kind of an advantage or an edge to being in that school. And that's why she put herself there, because she understands that kids in that area still deserve to learn. They have to learn. to be able to be productive members of society, right? And if they're
Right.
not productive members of society, you got to think about it. Our in our city, the population is controlled. Like, I don't want to say controlled. It is concentrated to areas that are impoverished, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now you got, this is why we
You
have
talking about the people
kids
who live on Cherry, Galena, Brown, Valete, those areas.
and across the bridge
Yeah.
also.
The South Side poor areas, which is like Dakota, Oklahoma, uh, Mitchell Street, I believe, Cesar Chavez, that area. So basically, from national down to I say about Howard Avenue, it's the impoverished area of the South Side.
And Howard Avenue, once you get past that, that's like airport, right? So I feel like um you're gonna all so going into that mindset if you want to be a teacher because it's needed. That's something I want to do. I only want to be a teacher once I feel like I get a little bit older, maybe when I hit my 50s, so like in 10 more years, and I can teach. And honestly, like I can teach all grades. Like even though I'm not a teacher by my craft or whatever, my by my diploma, my degree. I feel like that's something I would love to do only because I can connect with people and I understand the different types of way people do learn. I understand the different types of adversity and things that happen within the home that cause kids to act a certain way. It's a lot of stuff. So it's like a lot of people in our community within these parts of Milwaukee that send their kids to school. Primarily, they send their kids to school because they know they're going to eat. They don't even care about what it is they're learning.
They gonna kids is gonna go there and eat, and then at the same time, there's like a free babysitting service for their kids. And then like I feel like the public school system now it doesn't prepare kids for being adults. The
It
way
does
how the
not.
public school system it prepares them for standardized testing, and that's it. It don't prepare them for life after high school. So like the way how like for a lot of these kids when they go off to college, they're going to fail in college because the public school system did not set them up or prepare them for college. Like they didn't prepare them to be able to write a paper in a way that it should be written when they're in a higher education, or to think how the thinking skills they need in higher education or the math skills that they need. They're not being taught that. They're just being taught enough to pass year standardized tests and then that's it. Which I felt like me personally, I felt that standardized test, I forgot what it's called. I think we had to do something called the Terranova test and something when you get up in grades, it changed to something else. I failed that test every year because first of all, it was about 3 or 4 days of testing. And you not for expect me to sit through a whole entire school day sitting there reading stuff and bubbling shit in. So I just, to be honest, I will mark anything on a damn test. I never tried.
Okay, so a couple of things. Like, I feel like, yes, standardized testing in public schools, that's all they care about, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
will say this in my experience in undergrad and graduate school, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
all they care about too. They only care about their pass rate as far as people passing. Like, so I'm a nurse for everybody that
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I'm a nurse. And the only thing in my undergrad that I feel like I was taught to do was pass the NCLEX. Okay. Everything I learned how to be a nurse, and a lot of nurses will probably agree with this, I learned on the job. Like they gave me the basics as far as how the body works and what's normal and what's not normal. That's all they
Right.
did. So, and that was good enough for me to pass the NCLEX, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
in my grad degree, where I'm going to be a nurse practitioner, I feel like that's the same thing. Like my last term that I just went through, I was taking 2 courses, 5 credits apiece, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you hear 5 credits apiece, you think that's heavy work, right? It was heavy work, but it wasn't heavy work. I never bought not a required textbook, not a nothing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I literally learned everything I needed to pass those classes on the job.
Mm.
And this is why back in the day, like my parents, you know what I'm saying, they were born in the 40s. You learned your skills on the job, a skilled trade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There is no reason I feel like all of this fucking theory. I don't give a fuck about what some nurse said in the 1800s. I don't. My primary shit changed, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
now we've made advances in healthcare where people are staying alive longer. So the shit she was talking about really don't matter. Besides that, you're looking for positive patient outcomes. That's the only thing, and you're going to do no harm to your patient. Those are the
Right.
most important things that I learned in school. But now me, and I feel some kind of way because me going on to be a provider, where I'm going to be your doctor, your nurse, practitioner, and I'm going to talk to you about your care and what's going on with you as a person. I mean, I had required books and I didn't buy them. I wanted to test it out. That was my social experiment, but that's just me. You know what I'm saying? I had enough knowledge from being a nurse. Period.
Right.
Over the last few years that I've been a nurse, I it, they literally teach me the same things in my undergrad, which I feel like yes, in your undergrad, yes, buy your books, yes, study, yes, X, Y, and Z. If you've never been in that field before, it's something new to you. But going into a grad degree and I'm doing the same thing as my undergrad, I didn't have to like revisit that because that's something that I've learned in my undergrad, and then me being on the job as a nurse, I gained even more experience. So it wasn't necessary for me to buy the books because the books are basically saying the same shit as my undergrad. And now it's a whole, you know, I don't know, a dupe where they're saying, "Oh, I need you to pay this amount of money for you to get your degree. You need to buy these books. You need to X, Y, Z. You need to do this. You need to do that." And I didn't have to, you know. And I'm in my second
Mm-hmm.
year, getting close to my master's completion, where I finally realized that because I follow the rules, okay, and I didn't need it. I did not need the books, only because I'm self-taught through my experiences. Now, I feel like if more inner city schools learn how to teach, I feel like teachers need to learn how to teach their kids. I feel like the teaching methods are antiquated. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up on books. My kids are growing up on laptops. Okay. They don't have books anymore. It's literally come
But
in.
the thing is, the government keeps stepping in and saying, "Hey, you can't teach kids this. You can't teach that. You can't teach them this. You can't do this. You can't do that." So it makes it harder for a teacher to be able to teach and prepare these kids for the next level when they constantly have somebody stepping in and telling them what they can't do.
But that's the thing. And people need to understand like it's not up to the teacher to teach kids how to be in life, how to be grown-ups. That
It's the
is a
parents,
collaboration between the teachers and the
teacher
parents.
and parents. Yeah. But the
Okay?
thing is, though, but parents are less at home. So say like a parent who doesn't have a college degree, they are at home less, working 2 or 3 jobs to get through. So they're not at home with their kids to teach these valuable lessons. These kids are mostly out in the streets when their parents is out working, especially if it's a single family a one parent income, these kids are out in the streets. And this is
So,
where these kids are learning some of their life skills at,
so I'm gonna
especially in inner
object.
city.
So I'm going to object and agree to both of those statements, right? So I'm a single parent. You know what I'm saying? I have older kids and then I have a very young kid. Okay. Now I feel like because of my profession, I work very long hours. I'm not at home much as I would like to. Like I don't sit down. Like when before I became a nurse, I sat down with my kids and I helped them with homework or whatever. Now that I'm a nurse, I don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very blessed that my kids picked up very quickly. So I don't have to sit down with them. And I also instilled in them, like, hey, I understand I'm not here. I work long hours because I have to pay for all these bills, right? For us
Mm-hmm.
to survive because it's a single parent household. But if you need me, come to me.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what I'm
true.
saying?
But you
So
got the parents who are gone. They gone for work before this kid get up at school. Kid come home from school, and then by the time the kid go to sleep at 11, 12 o'clock at night, mama is still ain't at home.
and I
She
used to be
leaving.
like that. So testimony, I used to be like that. When I was driving buses, I used to be at work at 4 o'clock in the morning
Mm-hmm.
because before my kids got up, and this is before I had my nursing degree, y'all. So, and I was getting paid good money, but the thing is, the only way I could sustain my household is if I was away for a long amount of time driving. Okay, so that was my big kick when I was like, I don't want to be gone a long amount of time, but I want to do something I enjoy for the rest of my life. And I understand because I have 3 kids and I want different things. I have to put myself back in school, finish, and I have to understand that I'm still going to be away, a certain amount of hours. Now, with my family, it did work out. You know, my kids are very, 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 very intelligent. They have made, um, I'm very proud of them. They have gotten very good marks. My oldest is going to college for biomedical sciences, right? My youngest, he got his first 4.0 at the end of the school year, his freshman year in high school. So my kids have been doing very good. But I feel like it was because I was leading by example. My kids have seen me in school their entire life. Even if it's been where I went to school and I dropped out because something happened, but I reapplied and I dropped out, but I kept going. I reapplied and I dropped out. I
Mm-hmm.
reapplied and I dropped out until I met my goal. Okay. Then I was like, oh, we need a house. Bought my house. You know what I'm saying? By my own. A lot of people are very surprised. Oh, you bought your house by yourself? Yes, I bought my house by myself. It's doable in this economy now. Single, black, women can buy their own houses, have good credit, have some shit stashed away for your down payment, and you good. That's it. Have a legitimate source of income for the past 2 years, and you fucking good. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I did all of that, right? But I feel like a lot of people are stuck in the struggle because they haven't been educated. And then that's kind of like you're going around in a circle. That's why I said sometimes it's up to the teachers to put that inception, is what it's called, into that kid's brain. Like, hey, it's possible. I don't want you to feel like this is your only path you have to choose. It's not. You have plenty
Right.
of different paths to choose. And that's why and you said you stepped back from being a teacher because you don't like kids, and I get it. But a lot of people that decide to go into teaching, they need to understand where these kids came from, and I feel like you're one of those people that understand where people came from in our society, and just to kind of have that tolerance and the patience to be able to just give them not even what you can be a fucking history teacher. right? You love history,
Hmm. Yeah,
okay?
I love history.
You love history. You can be a fucking history teacher, but understand and apply it to what it means in their life. So that's where people miss it. That's the mark that they miss it on because the shit. My parents were born in the fucking 40s. The things they instilled in me, and I didn't understand when I was younger, still apply now. Period. You know,
Hmm.
so it is a lot of people going to, I want to say I want to be a teacher that's really not about that life because they don't know how to handle these kids. But the thing is they need to understand that the kids operate because it's a defense mechanism. They're at home. Their home is a high stress environment, like a lot of people. So then they come to school, they want to goof off, they want to have fun because their home is a fucking stressful environment. They got the mom yelling at them, they don't have no food, the fucking lights are off, X, Y, and Z. Their parents put a lot of stuff on them to do X, Y, and Z. They can't really be children. So that's the biggest problem that I see in our community. And when I say our community, I mean the whole fucking Milwaukee, right? Because it's only a few select people that have not went through this struggle in our city. So teachers are very, very, and I love y'all, and I love y'all. It takes a lot of patience, okay? But
Hmm.
it takes a lot of reflection into oneself. Like, how did I come up? Did I have both parents in the house? I had both of my parents in the house. I'm the only child. A lot of people think I'm spoiled and I got everything I want. Negative. My parents were in the military. They were from Mississippi. They had me um, later in life. So it's like, okay, we got a kid now. You know what I'm saying? Type of shit. I'm not saying that I was not loved, but I feel like because my parents had me later in life, it was a different type of upbringing, but it benefited me because I was more mature beyond my years. Okay.
Hmm.
So, and because they were in the military, I had a lot more, what can I say? I had a lot more discipline. Okay. Um, a lot of things that excite people out here nowadays, drugs, alcohol, they really don't have that. I can drink, but I'm not going to become an alcoholic. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Hmm.
So they usually don't have that. I can't stop. I can't stop. I can't stop. They don't know how to stop and reel themselves in. Or as far as being fiscally responsible with their money, you got these goals, you say you want this, but nobody showed them how to do it. And that kind of piggybacks off of what you said, where in the public schools we don't teach kids economics anymore. But I'm gonna be real with you, when I was in school I had an economics class. It didn't teach me shit but pretending how to cook, and it didn't teach me how to cook nothing.
I never took that didn't exist when I was in high school.
So
And
so that's what I'm saying.
and
But I'm done
speaking
with my rant.
and speaking of, because I know I got to get ready to close out the show. But
Yeah.
speaking of, like Tina said, so like I had both my parents was in the military.
Yep.
My mom didn't have me until she was 33, almost 34. Actually, nope,
Yep.
she had me right after her 33rd birthday.
Mm-hmm.
I was literally born 2 weeks after her 33rd birthday.
Mm. Really?
So, hmm
I didn't know that.
so by the time I got to the age where I can think and make decisions for myself, my
Mm-hmm.
parents was already in their 40s.
Yep. My
So
parents were in
and
their
then
50s, almost
so yeah,
60s.
so when they made that, so like when I was growing up and I was making certain decisions, or the way how we was raised, like we were taught to be independent. We were taught not to rely on other people. We were taught to make our own decisions. We were taught not to be followers or go out there and go follow what people are doing. We wasn't taught
Yep.
those things. So then, like, when me and my fiance get to argument, the first excuse that he like to use is, "Well, we was raised different," but it doesn't mean that you still can be taught. And
You-
then at the same time, like, you're an adult now. Like, you shouldn't be relying on other people all the time to do stuff for you. Like, I tell people all the time, like, there'll be times right now, and I'll be like, I can go to my mom. I'll be telling my mom, like, I just paid this, and that. All my bills is paid. I'm poor. I'll be like, I'm poor. I ain't got no more. I ain't got no money. I'm poor. And she'd be like, you want to borrow something? I'm like, I know. I'd rather go without, because when I get my paycheck again, give that money back. And then I pay all my bills again, and say I pay all my
I'm
bills
still
again,
broke.
and then I'm still broke. But then I go back and borrow some more money until I get paid again. So it's going to be that repeat cycle of constantly borrowing money. So then every time you get paid, you're paying all your bills, plus you're paying back the money that you borrowed out, that you don't loan, that people that you don't got from other people. So if you keep having that cycle, you're going to keep being in that same cycle of I'm broke. So it came to the point where I had to learn, like, you know what? I'm just going to sacrifice. I'm just going to go without for the next 2 weeks or whatever. Like I say, it's food in the house and the bills is paid. That's all that matters. I can sit my ass in the house. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who don't know that one simple life skill of just sitting your ass down and going without. Like, you
Yeah.
don't have to always go out to the restaurant. You don't always have to go out to the club. You don't always have to go out, be out doing something. Sit your ass down and learn how to go without doing something, and you will have some money in your pocket when next time payday come around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these are skills that people need to learn. Like I said,
They want the here and now.
yeah,
That's it.
and that's it. And until you learn how to break that cycle, you're going to continue to be in that same cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, I guess we're gonna close out the show because y'all done got a whole hour and 25 minutes of us, which is normally season finale type episode. So y'all got lucky.
Lucky.
So are we doing final thoughts? Final thoughts.
We can do final thoughts. Final thought for me is I'm going to do my research about the Republican candidate that I was talking about earlier. Um, I want parents to understand that teachers are not responsible for raising your kids. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and take more time so this the thing, like, people have kids and they get frustrated, they get depressed, and I understand they want to have their own me time. That's great, but you have to understand that these kids are not asked to be here. You need to sit down and take time with your kids to make sure, because that's your future, that's your legacy, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to your kids, because that is what's going to carry our economy into the future, is our race. Okay, our race.
Mm-hmm.
um and I think that's all I got.
All right. Well, my final thought is learn how the banking system works. Um, teach your kids about the banking system and financial responsibility. Prepare your kids for life, prepare them to be adults, so that way you don't end up with somebody who's 38 and don't know how to think for themselves. But yeah, so that's just my final thoughts. Yeah.
Bye.
All right, we gonna see y'all next one. Make sure y'all go get those discount links in the description below in the comments. Yeah, make sure. All right, I'm see y'all. Yeah, right now.